conditions. Having, yeah, like you mentioned, recently beat India here as well. So this is exactly the kind of challenge we need for, with the World Cup not too far away. Test ourselves against probably conditions that we as a side will find the hardest. So that's going to be a great measure of where we are as a team. Yeah, expecting a slow and low wicket. I think expect the conditions that will be tough for us. So which is exactly what we want. That's the kind of challenge we want as a team. To test ourselves in tough conditions, which will be great preparation for us moving forward. Yeah, absolutely. I think all our preparation is geared towards that World Cup. This is the conditions that will probably be the closest that we can get to playing in India, as well. So we only have these matches, and then don't play again until September, just before the World Cup. So it's a great challenge for us, and we're excited for the series. That's a long time ago. As you say, Bangladesh have always had a good record at home. So we have some very good players in our team. We're excited for the challenge. We've had a lot of guys over the last few years who are exposed to playing in subcontinent conditions. A number of guys have been here and played in the Bangladesh Premier League, and we'll have a bit of an idea as to what to expect. But that doesn't make it any easier. It's going to be a good challenge, and we look forward to it. Well, 1 year, but now he's there's a thing that the I feel even saying when on Syria we think of Syria is a point. Being more accustomed to the conditions, spending more time in the subcontinent, being exposed to the conditions more often. Before the advent of franchise cricket, you'd only come here as an international team, and so yeah, absolutely, with more franchise cricket around the world, guys are more exposed to the conditions. No, we'll always try and be as aggressive as we can. I think the misconception is that we're aiming for 400 every time, but it's more about trying to push the boundaries of what's capable on the day. Not settling for par, trying to push that envelope higher. If the maximum on the wicket allows as 100, can we try and score 100 instead of 80? So we just try and assess the conditions and imprint our game as much as we can. But of course, you have to understand conditions, adapt. But we're always going to fall on the positive side as opposed to the more negatives. Yeah. There's always good competition when the two teams play, and expect a competitive series. Yeah, I think as I've said in all the questions, it's the same. Bangladesh are very good in their own conditions, and there's definitely an advantage to playing at home. Yeah, I'm sure they've, for the last few years they've utilised their home ground. Yeah, fair enough. We got the back here now and then. Yeah, I think so. I think even if we'd won that game in 2015, I think we would have fallen down not far after. I think looking back, we were quite a way behind the rest of the teams in the world at that stage, and it was very obvious post that World Cup that we had to change the way we played and try and be um, you know at the forefront of where the game was going as opposed to trying to catch up. So I think we got to that point regardless. But obviously that losing that match was being knocked out of the World Cup at that stage was probably the absolutely is now looked back at as that real turning point for English cricket. But I'm sure we would have been found out not long after had we managed to get through that game.
And we do a lot of
Yeah, it's a really exciting talent. He's obviously made his Test debut and against Pakistan recently. He's still a very young man. He's just a teenager still. So we're excited about his development and where we think he can go. And it's great to have him in and around the England setup. And someone like Adil Rashid has been such a star performer for us for a long period of time. Ran getting to spend time with him and discussing bowling and watching each other bowl, I think will be a huge benefit to him and a big stage in his development. And really excited for someone with so much talent, not just with the ball, with the bat as well. So we look forward to watching him develop and hopefully turning himself into a brilliant international cricketer.
Yeah, they will finish up. You, the guys in town, Bangla, use that critical, big guys in town.
Question again.
See them different spaces and people.
A difference between spin and pace. There's obviously the difference is, generally the wicket will be slower. But guys like Jofra and Markwood, they obviously have fantastic airspeed. So sometimes there's someone who can bowl with such pace. On these wickets, it's still a handful. It's not actually always as the benefit of the batsman. So we have a nice variety in the attack. We have a nice variety in the squad, both right arm, left arm, high pace guys who can swing it. So we have a nice balanced attack.
Okay. In the last year, there was an interview we told that when you came here for playing, you came hard on Bravo. Discussing about the theory of changing in T20 cricket.
He was talking about when you're chasing a total in T20s, they look at actually how many sixes they feel like they have to score in the chase to win the game. And I was saying that I'd never at that point thought about the game in that way. I was sort of always looking at runs per over required or things like that. Whereas remember Darren running a message on saying if you hit 5 sixes in the last 6 or 7 overs, we'll win the match. And just a different mindset, different way of looking at the game, and something I hadn't thought of before at that time. I think so. At different times. It's just great to have different options of looking at the game, different ways. I think guys who are, especially if you have that ability to clear the ropes and hit sixes, it's a nice way to take pressure off yourself.
Thanks all.
Thank you.